We begin with Jentry, our soon-to-be 16-year-old, belting out a karaoke classic at her pre-birthday bash. Back at the party, Jentry is being her usual self, singing her heart out, while Tiff is planning out a night market and anime marathon as surprises for the big week. She video calls Gentry's grandmother, Aka Gugu, and it's obvious that this is one crazy cool grandma, ready for a mahjong rematch with Taki, it seems. But then feels bad when Gugu is asking her about her face breaking out. A message from Gugu pops up asking how her kai and paws are doing, which she just dismisses. She's worried that all of this is too much for her birthday week, and that makes Tiff get all fired up because that means it's not her turn yet. As the friends split up for the night, Jentry gets a text that's not from her grandma. It's a mysterious, "Is everything okay?" message. She's walking home alone when a small demon pops up. He's demanding that she not keep the magic stuff to a minimum. This gets Jentry riled up, and she retorts that he gave Rupert nightmares. A lot of dialogue and exposition follows, with this demon revealing that he wanted crap waffles. Then, bang, Mr. Cheng appears as a shadowy figure, and Jentry is forced to run from the monster. Jentry calls Gugu. And that's when Gugu tells Jentry that she's ready for her mahjong rematch because she bought a cheaper flight, and now she's in town for Gentry's birthday. After the call, Jentry then heads out with Tiff and Rupert to the night market, as planned, only to have Gugu call her on the phone. Gentry's friends give her some privacy as she takes the call, which is when Gugu tells Jentry that she's going to show her how to open up her third eye. She reveals that she did it to Jentry and asks that she will like it. Jentry, now alone, gets ready for what could very well be a fight for her life. She's finally cornered by Mr. Cheng, who starts talking about this book from childhood that he's familiar with. He asks if this one was in there, as if he is pulling rank on her. A transformation happens, and he demands her soul, and Jentry unleashes her power to push back. As the episode progresses, we discover that she gets more confident and seems to believe that her kai is the key to stop Mr. Cheng's demon power. The tables turn as Mr. Cheng is once again trying to scare her by revealing his true demonic form, but instead, Jentry continues to fight with power and ferocity. Now in full demon power, Jentry and her crew are in a showdown against Mr. Cheng in a karaoke bar. Now the tide is turning. Jentry and her crew are getting some licks in as she's singing and dancing around, but when the beat drops, things start going south. They get their butts kicked, and to make matters worse, Gugu says she has to leave and will be back tomorrow. What? Gugu then gets on the phone and talks to Jentry, and it's then that Gugu reveals she knew all along what would happen to Jentry by bringing her to the town. Turns out that Gugu made a deal with the evil Mr. Cheng, the bad guy, and she set the whole thing up. Gugu also mentions that all she wants is Gentry's power. As soon as she gets off the plane, Jentry will face her down. Jentry gets upset at Gugu, and then we see her friends walk up to her. They're going on a trip tomorrow. Tiff wants Jentry to know that when she turns 16, she's going to pay her back in full for the entire birthday extravaganza. It's going to be a whole birthday month event for them. A cute and sappy moment follows as Tiff hugs and nuzzles Jentry, and then tells her she better be ready for her turn. As Jentry is leaving, she gets a call, and it's Gugu. Gugu asks who is there, and it's revealed that this is a video call. Gugu is excited and starts to make small talk when Rupert pops into the camera frame. Gugu gets very excitable as she sees Rupert, and then asks if Taki is there. She yells to Taki that she wants a mahjong rematch. She says she'll be there, she just needs to get off the plane, and promises that she is going down. Gugu notices the pimples on Gentry's face. Jentry is embarrassed and says she forgot her cream. Gugu suggests that she'll bring it with her tomorrow. After the call, Gugu looks down at her phone. The demon, Mr. Cheng, appears and tells her you did well, but she just smiles, with an evil glint in her eye. Jentry calls her grandma a traitor. Jentry tells her friends she'll catch up and walks the opposite direction, alone, when she's stopped by a ghostly presence. It asks her to keep the magic stuff to a minimum. She replies, "You gave Rupert nightmares." He says he was hoping for a shopping trip where he could try some crap waffles as the scene cuts to a new scene of Jentry on her own, about to pick up some magical herb for third eye tea. And then suddenly, she sees the shadowy demon figure appear behind her again. This time it's got a weapon and ready to cause harm. This is the next turning point in this episode, when Jentry decides to pick up the weapon and fight. The scene jumps to Jentry in a dark and scary tunnel as she continues to walk away, with the demon behind her. We get a bit more of a feeling of the demon as we see it's got the power to contort and bend, before finally it shows the demon has an almost transparent body with glowing lights inside. Back at Jentry's house, we see a montage of the town before showing Jentry's home with her standing on the staircase. She looks defeated. Gugu then shows up, revealing she can now become a full ghost. She then says, "Hey, you want to go shopping?" and starts to pick up her luggage that is all taped up and ready for travel. Gugu says her trip to Texas will be a few days so they can kill the Mogwai, and starts to pack all of the weirdest items you'd expect a magical grandmother would pack. Jentry then asks Gugu how long she's known a Mogwai was going to try and kill her on her birthday. Gugu's response was not that long, just most of your life. A short montage of Jentry looking sad and alone in her room while Gugu is packing. Jentry seems to understand why her grandmother was acting the way she was, and then she texts her friends that she will catch up to them. Then suddenly, the mood changes as Jentry is standing in a dark alley. She's got a glowing cell phone. When Gugu calls her again on the video call, she looks very different, almost a demon herself. She says she found a cheaper flight and is already in town. But Jentry looks up to her grandma's face and sees pimples on her chin. She asks Gugu to bring her cream so she can do a proper cleanup. Then she yells that once she gets off the plane, she's going down. Gugu then asks what's on her face and if she wants her to bring the cream, to which Jentry snaps back that it's just pimples. Finally, Jentry meets up with Tiff and Rupert, and a whole birthday plan is discussed. Tiff is going to pay Jentry back in kind for all the birthday hijinks, and Rupert is getting all nervous about the upcoming events. Back to Jentry's room. Jentry is alone with the demon cat when suddenly we hear Gugu call on the phone. Gugu talks about the tea she prepared for Jentry for her third eye and to also clear her pores. Jentry doesn't buy it. She leaves the demon cat and her room and heads into the night. She's on her way home, or where she thinks home is, when the demon appears and she goes on the run again. This action is the bulk of this episode, and this chase sets up how Jentry is going to level up and how Gugu is going to be the main bad guy while making her feel betrayed by family. Now at home, the evil plan starts to unfold as we learn that Gugu made a deal with Mr. Cheng. Now Jentry has to prepare and defend herself, which involves going to this ancient lair that Gugu has hidden in the house to acquire these mythical weapons. It's like a hidden vault. What? While packing and getting Jentry prepared, Gugu explains that she needs the weapons because she can't risk Jentry getting caught up with Mr. Chang's plans. This is when Gugu states she's made Jentry's friends think that she's coming later, when she's actually coming in earlier to fight Mr. Chang herself, and this is how she's going to keep Jentry safe. This is when we also learn that Gugu knows about Jentry's past with a demon girl. Jentry gets the weapons, and then Gugu says that Jentry needs to use all her power to stop Mr. Chang because his plan will not stop at Jentry's soul. It's to take over the Underworld. Then things get dark as the light is drained out of Jentry as she tries to use the power for the first time. Jentry is terrified at seeing how much power she actually has and what she is capable of. It cuts to a dark scene where Jentry is now fully suited up with a new outfit, and it's all a build-up for her showdown with this old demon who demands her soul. It's all very dark and exciting, with quick cuts and fast movements. Gugu then takes a hit, and it's Jentry's turn to go into demon mode. There is an intense battle, and then we see that Jentry and Gugu are now together on the ground, defeated by Mr. Cheng. Mr. Cheng gloats over their defeat when suddenly everything comes full circle and Gugu shows that she also has demon power and blasts him. She's a bad BTCH. It's a back and forth of Gugu and Mr. Cheng. They then have to regroup. Now the stage is set. Mr. Cheng shows up and asks if his time to shine has arrived. He reveals his true form, which is a shadowy ghost-like figure. It's creepy. He tells Jentry that he's been looking for her since she tore open a back door into the Underworld. The tone is very dark now, and the battle continues until Jentry manages to channel some of her power into a single blast that forces Mr. Chang to retreat, but they must regroup. While Jentry is wondering what else is next, Gugu says they have to go to Mimi's for a big chicken dinner. But this time, Jentry says something. She asks Gugu, how long did you know Margwai was going to try to kill me and take my soul? Gugu says not that long, just most of your life. The last few minutes of the episode are the most action-packed, with the stakes raised to a level we hadn't seen previously. Jentry and Gugu arrive at Mimi's, and it's then that Michael appears at her table. He's working. Jentry and her grandma have a brief conversation about the town, and then he says, Jentry, I didn't know you were back. Jentry gets a message on her phone stating that her birthday is in 5 hours, so things start to get very real for our main character. It's almost go time. They then head into a dark alley. We see the friends walking ahead, while Jentry stays behind and is contacted by Gugu. Jentry's powers are revealed to be a powerful demon energy when Gugu and Mr. Chang were fighting earlier. She then runs to a back alley where Gugu says that she's going to take care of Mr. Chang and goes into the shadows. In the final part of the episode, we see Jentry and Gugu using these fire wheels when they're both interrupted by the Margwai, who seems intent on getting his hands on Jentry and her powers. Jentry gives a small prayer and then unleashes hell, and everything starts to explode. We see the demon being attacked with fire, chain attacks, spirit attacks, shadow demons, and more. Jentry unleashes her power to save her grandmother. All the while, Mr. Cheng is taunting Jentry, saying that she can't stop him, but our girl just smacks him down. Jentry is finally face to face with the demon who tries to suck her powers, but Jentry's amulet stops him. She then unleashes a giant blast of power and screams, and the Margwai is destroyed. Gugu is dead. It ends with Jentry at the playground, sad but also smiling and seemingly ready for whatever comes next, and that's where we leave our hero for now. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay awesome, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more amazing content.